In today's video, I will be talking about fear and anxiety around symptoms. Often when I speak with other Potsies, the word fear and anxiety comes up quite a bit. They most often report a fear of their symptoms. They're scared to go out or to do things they used to enjoy because of their symptoms. I'll often hear things like, will going to the store cause a flare-up? Will meeting with my friends cause me to have to stay in bed for 3 days afterwards? How will going to work or school be? This often leads to a distrust in your body because you're not even sure what you can or can't do, and you feel you're at the mercy of a body that you can't even control. This is terrifying. So when dealing with a new diagnosis or new symptoms, this is normal to a certain extent because there's so much uncertainty in the beginning. But I do want to share some tips that might help with easing some of that fear around symptoms. 1. Find out how much information is right for you. When you're struggling with a condition like dysautonomia, POTS, or long COVID, there's still that's unknown a lot about this. And on top of that, there's so many different symptoms, and it makes you wonder, is this a POTS thing? Is this another condition? What is this new symptom? This can, of course, send you down the research rabbit hole, but that has its own risks as well, and you don't want to get stuck down there. Now, every person differs in the amount of research that they do, and how much it helps or doesn't help. Every person is different. Understanding the condition is extremely important in the beginning, as when you do understand various things about why your body is doing things, it makes a lot more sense. There's perhaps a very logical explanation to why you always need to put your feet up, or why getting ready in the morning absolutely depletes you, or why salt and water helps so much. But of course, always make sure that you do get your information from reputable sources. While, for example, Facebook groups might be helpful, even in terms of information, it can be easy to get caught up in doom scrolling, comparing ourselves to others and their symptoms and how perhaps we might end up in the same case that they are. It's quite easy to get caught up in that. So get informed, but perhaps set limits for yourself. Some people even have success with things like worry postponement, right? Where you say to yourself kind of, I will think about this later, not right now. Perhaps you even set up a various time when you do research on your symptoms. And that research can further even be divided into various kinds of research. So for example, things like, why is this happening? So kind of looking into that, but then also looking into research on actual actionable lifestyle changes you can make, different therapies you could try, different treatments you could try. And then kind of a third part, sometimes you just do need to reach out or vent or just engage in a bit of doom scrolling. Number 2, maintain your routine, but with changes and modifications. So one of the most frustrating things about illnesses is that flare-ups can just happen. There's not always a clear cause, mostly in the beginning. Over time, you might become more aware of the subtleties that can bring on a flare-up. So when I work with clients, since we do quite a lot of work around kind of trying to figure out patterns and baselines and things like that, they do notice that there is more of awareness over time as to what is happening and why it's happening. But what I often see, mostly in the beginning, is a fear of going out or of doing various activities, and then that could cause you to kind of slowly retreat more in, and then those activities can cause even more anxiety and fear. Now, I see this happen pretty often with others, but I've also seen it happen a lot with myself, and I remember how that used to be. And over time, using these kind of safety behaviors can even deplete our sense of self-confidence. These things can these kind of behaviors can stop us from doing things we would like to do, and it could even cause more of a restricted life, as there's just so much fear. Now, this differs for everybody and everybody's levels and everybody's where they are exactly in their chronic illness and how severe things are. But for example, is there a way that you could do the activities you were doing before, but with modifications? And what modifications can you put in? So for example, mornings can be really tough for a lot of Potsies. So how can you simplify your morning routine so that you're still taking care of yourself? Perhaps you're moving around a bit, but without getting depleted. I remember I used to feel so drained every day by the time I finished getting ready for my day. So I simplified it as much as I possibly could. I used to do things like wear jewelry, and I would put makeup on, and I got fully rid of that. I made sure to wear, even the clothes changed, kind of the comfiest clothes I could fit in, the ones that were easiest to put on, really just kind of stripping it down to its basic core, like what do I need to do, kind of, wash my face, brush my teeth, put on clothes, boom. I was also working from home was something that it took me a little while to ask for the request and to put that in, but I was able to start working from home, and that helped a little bit. The grocery store was a nightmare. Even things like, for example, taking always having a little cart to lean on or things like that. Just trying to engage as much as possible in kind of the day-to-day activities you used to have, but again, with modifications. And two, coming with that, having a backup plan. How can I, for example, go to this event, or how can I hang out with my friends and still enjoy myself? What modifications do I need? And two, then how do I communicate those modifications? And if there's a worst case scenario that I'm thinking of in my head, well, if I go there, this might happen. What can I do, or what can I do to make in place that it doesn't happen? Or if it does happen, where can I rest, or how can I do things? It's important to have something to look forward to in your days and to find a way to treat yourself. So this can be very important as part of that. Number 3, accept that some things cannot be controlled. Now, this sounds the simplest out of all of them, but of course it's probably the toughest out of all of these. Acceptance is a word that gets thrown around a lot. But what is it? Let's start with why it's not. Acceptance is not giving up. For me, acceptance has been one of the toughest things. I've planned my life to a T. I really love to plan, and then everything kind of came crashing down. I pushed and I pushed and I pushed against it so I could get back onto my original plan. That didn't work, and I see this very often. Even things like, for example, people might push themselves to go to a barbecue party. Deep down, they know that they'll be outside in the scorching heat. It'll make them flare up. But thinking of the situation through the lens of acceptance, going to that party in the heat might cause a flare-up and palpitations and a few days in bed as a result. Okay, do I take that? Do I not? And two, if I do, what can I do differently about this? What modifications can I put in place? Maybe I could take a little chair with me, or a little stool. There's so many portable ones nowadays. Or wearing a cooling vest, or bringing electrolyte water with me. What modifications can I make in place to at least ease the flare-up if it does happen? It can become much more freeing to accept the fact that it is what it is, and focus on how you can adjust your life to what it is. Over time, when working with my clients, this allows them to still take part in activities that do bring them joy. As we continue working together, they're able to do more and more and more, and they need even less modifications, and that makes them quite happy. But oftentimes with acceptance, for example, let's say your starting point is, I know I need to go to a barbecue party and I need to not have any symptoms, just like things used to be. And then even if you do see some small positive change, sometimes what might happen is you might not even appreciate it, as you're so busy looking into the distance and seeing how things really should be instead of what they are. And this actually allows you to celebrate small achievements, right? Going to a party and just going there, that's already an achievement in and of its own. So in short, once you do kind of stop wasting your time on what you cannot control, you are then free to work on what you can actually change. 4, self-care. The first step of this is to begin by recognizing that these symptoms are not just physically exhausting, but they're mentally draining as well, which means you need to treat yourself with extra kindness. It's not your fault that you're sick, but now that you are, you need to treat yourself gently. Engage in self-care activities that bring you joy. Look around and reflect, what does bring you joy? And even looking at this through kind of a holistic lens. So looking at things like social activities and support. Would you like to catch up with old friends, or perhaps make new ones? Are there online communities that you could join? Now with the pandemic, there's been more and more online communities popping up. Looking too at the lens of stress management. How much stress is there in your life at the moment? How can you reduce it? What else can you do to aid that? Looking at things like diet. Are you eating a balanced diet? Are you eating something that's nourishing your body? How can you change your diet to suit your body better? Movement. How can you incorporate movement, whether it's stretching or a little bit of light yoga or just walking? Things too like hobbies. Is it what lights you up? Is it reading? Is it bubble baths? Is it painting, knitting, being out in nature? How can you make sure that these activities nurture you so that you can do more of them and get more out of it? And remember that it will not always be this hard. Although fear and anxiety might be taking over parts of your life now, over time, as you kind of do find out baselines and kind of trying to find out what flares me up and how can I adjust this, things will get better. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway down in the comments below. Let me know. What have you found that helps keep your fear about your symptoms down? And if you want more videos like this, make sure you hit subscribe to my channel. And if you hit the bell, you'll get a notification each time I post a new video. Take care, and I'll see you next time.